What's up, y'all? It's Corwin L. Gilliams, I King Amongst Kings, coming to you live and direct on this beautiful Friday afternoon. I don't know why today I felt like it was. Today kind of feel like a Saturday, but I guess Friday evening into the Saturday is the weekend, right? And so, what are we talking about today, Lord? What you want me to share with your children today, Lord? Right. So, some of you guys have family members that that are rude, right? They're rude. They're just rude. There's no other way to put it. And let me just set the record straight, right? When I speak truth, it is not to bash anybody. It is not to insult anybody. I'm speaking truth so that you can get the understanding that you need, so that you can apply it to your life if need be. And follow the instructions, the wisdom, or interpret it in a way that works for you, that focuses on you maintaining your peace, you maintaining your joy, your happiness, and having your heart in the right place, in the right place, right? Because I come from a Caribbean and South American background, but I've been mostly acclimated with my Caribbean background. And what I do know is that there are a lot of similarities when it comes to African Americans, Caribbean Americans, and just Africans, right? So, but we're I want to focus on the commonality with all these backgrounds, right? So we have black, of course, African American, then we have black Caribbean, then we have black Africans, right? And so there are similarities in a lot of the culture and societies and the mindsets and the way of thinking. And one of the things that that I noticed in the black community is this mindset that everyone, because you're family, right? Because your blood is what, thicker than water. Is that the same? Because your blood or whatever, that you're supposed to accept bad behavior, right? That you're supposed to accept people's rudeness, that you're supposed to just be abused, verbally and emotionally and in other ways, because it's family, and that is incorrect. That is not true. And a lot of people are tolerating these circumstances, whether it's you're dealing with parents, you're dealing with aunts, uncles, cousins, and their children and whatever else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whatever aspect of family, right? The idea is that it's blood, right? And so so there's this idea, or there's this belief, whether it's spoken or not. Many of you probably feel that that it's not spoken, right? It's not a written rule, but you feel obligated, right? Whether it's because you see your parents do it, or the people around you, you see how they tolerate certain family members who are rude and disrespectful. And the thing is, especially if you're not someone who is like that, if you're someone who's more godly, right? And I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys. There are some people who will prefer to keep the peace and not say anything. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that they're afraid, or not to say that they can't feed you with your own medicine, but that is just not their character. Their character is peace and love and joy, right? And so why should someone who has, what I'm saying, who is able to live a life, right? Especially if you're a younger person or younger generation who, you know what I'm saying, you just know that there's just a certain way to speak to people, there's a certain way to act, and there's just certain things that you don't do. Why should you now have to be around people who, and again, this, whether it's family or not, we can generalize it and say people, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Just because we were we were birthed through the same bloodline does not mean that, you're immune, or that person's immune to doing the same thing an enemy would do to you, right? And so let's use wisdom here and say, okay, you know what? If there are family members who, and I have to focus on family members, because that is what's in my spirit, and that's some of the things that I've had to overcome with myself, and by the grace of God, I was successful in it. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's truth that the world subscribes to, right? And then you have subcategories where in the world where you, okay, so so you have truth in the world, right? And then you'll have subcategories like, okay, we're in this world and we're in this society, but then we have the Caribbean side, then we have the Black American side, then we have the African side, right? Then we have just all these subcultures. Then we have the subcategory of, the Americanized Caribbean person. So it's just all these different things where there's different cultures and ideologies, excuse me, and mindsets that, it's just too much to subscribe or to take note or to be on your P's and Q's to please everybody. But with that being said, there are basic rules, there are fundamental rules of living, I believe, as a human being, as a child of God, as someone who's blessed to live and walk on this earth, right? There are fundamental rules and ways of living within other human beings, right? And it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what background you're from, it doesn't matter what, how old you are. It's a matter of respect, right? These fundamental rules are respect, it's kindness, it's love, it's forgiveness. It's especially, like, why would you not want to forgive someone who is your family member, right? If we want to play the family narrative, right? Why would you not want to forgive a family member who, may have done something wrong to you or hurt you, right? Why would you want to hold animosity towards that family member if that is your family, and if that's blood, we're supposed to stick and be thick as thieves? Like, that doesn't make sense. And it's interesting because I see other, and I'm not saying all Italian families or all Hispanic families, but I see, in other races, within other races, that there's a family dynamic that is strong. It's not saying that they're perfect, but it's just a dynamic that it's palpable. Like, you can see and say, like, wow, like, they really love each other, and it's like cousins, first cousins that they act like they're actual siblings. You know what I'm saying? Specifically within its Italian family dynamic, right? And then it's just like, or even with Hispanics, like, you even see that family dynamic where you have a whole bunch of people, of them living in the same apartment, and it may be rough and maybe tough, may not be no space, but they're making it work. But yet still with certain parts of the Caribbean, right? When it comes to the Black family unit, there's just this self-entitlement, there's just this arrogance, this selfishness, and just total disregard for just your family member. And I mean, we are responsible for the things that we do and the lives that we live, but I'm speaking to people out here who are struggling, who are dealing with situations that they don't have to deal with because they don't know better, who are taking abuse from people who, like, it's one thing to take an abuse from someone that they maybe don't know better, or they don't know what they're doing. But then it's another thing to take abuse from people that and have proven that they don't like you, like they don't like nothing about you, whether it's how you look, your features, the color of your skin, how God has blessed you, the favor on your life, whatever it is. They don't know what it is. They just know that they don't like you. These are not people that you have to be loyal to or extend yourself above and beyond to. God says to love thy neighbor as thyself. When I think of the commandment, love thy neighbor as thyself, I think of this. If I'm a nasty person, if I'm someone who is a nasty, if I'm someone who is a nasty person, I'm not. If I'm someone who's a nasty person, ungodly person, unkind person, I wouldn't want that person, like, I wouldn't want to be around people who is going to experience me, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't want to be, and let's say from the mindset that I don't know that I'm this person. If I don't know that I'm this person, I would not want people to experience that, right? So it would have to take someone to tell me, to say, okay, you know what, your ways are wrong, they're rotten. And of course, trying to change it and become better or whatever, that's a whole process or whatever. But with God, nothing is impossible. But the point is, you would not want to be around somebody who, who treats you horribly, right? And so why, when you have a decision, this is not a marriage, this is not a child that you decided to have. These are family members these are family members. These are people, whether they're family members or they're friends. These are people that you happen to be, that you were, had the opportunity to not choose, right? They say you can't choose family members, but you can choose your friends, right? But these are people that you've had the opportunity, specifically the family members. I'm talking about the family members. These are people that you've had the opportunity to, you didn't have the opportunity to choose, right? And so just because you didn't have the opportunity to choose them does not mean that the same rules don't apply when it comes to how you carry yourself and the respect that you demand, right, from strangers and from people who are not your family. Not saying that, kindness and loyalty is, you don't feel like, I'm not saying that, naturally we feel like extra, this desire to be extra loyal and extra kind to family members, right? For whatever reason. I mean, I have family members, to be honest with you, that I don't know. Like, it's like, maybe it's just my definition of knowing. For you to know somebody, like, you have to spend time with somebody. You have to, have a level of understanding of that person for you to say you know somebody. At least that's for me, right? And so I have family members, and that applies to all relationships across the board. And so I have family members that I've seen them throughout my lifetime, but we've never spent time together. Like, we've never sat down and had a conversation, where it's like I was getting to know you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, but then at the same time, I've always felt like, when I would see these people, I would be like, especially like cousins. Like, I have a lot of cousins that, that I have, but the truth is I don't know them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know them, and it may sound bad, it may sound, like, oh, he's being shady or whatever, but the truth is I don't know them. I don't know them. We've never spent time together. We've had encounters of family, family events, whether it's, Thanksgiving or whatever, that, and I'm speaking on a personal level here, that, I've had the opportunity to attend, but, there are some family members that I don't know. And there are some family members that I could not allow them to know me just because of who they were, just because of, how they were as people. It just didn't make sense for me to be myself around them, or to want to be around people who, are unable to love you for who you are, regardless of your peculiarity, right? And there's also this expectation as family members, you're supposed to love. There's a lot of hate going on in the world, you understand? So when you come and you're around family member, and you're spending around, and you're around, and you're committed to family time, there's an expectation that you're going to be treated differently, around family members than around people you don't know. But the sad part is that is not always the case. There are actually people that you can go around who you are not related to, and they will treat you better than your family members. And there are different reasons for that. I mean, we can get into the different reasons, but my focus right now is to set some people free right now. That's the whole point of this video. I want to set people free right now who are, following in the footsteps of their parents, who for a long time they thought or believed that it was acceptable to take the abuse of family members. And I'm talking about things where you have jealousy, envy, gossip, slander, backstabbing, just nasty attitudes towards each other, that your mother, your father, or people that you may have respected or respect have entertained and indulged in. And you probably feel like you have to do that and follow in their footsteps, but no, you don't. Your life, God, at the end of the day, one of the commandments, God says love, to honor your mother and your father. And honoring your mother and your father is basically, for me, what I believe that to be is loving your family. You know what I'm saying? Not talking badly about your parents, not no matter what they may have done to you, it's you take it to God, right? And you cry out to God, and you cry out to the Lord, and you cry out to Him, and that's it. When it comes to doing what they want you to do as far as their lives, and as far as the things that they think that you should do in order so that they can feel good about themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Especially within the Caribbean, in some Caribbean communities, there's this expectation. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think there's nothing wrong with wanting your child to go to school and to get a degree because you didn't get a degree, but at the same time, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are aiding or facilitating, more than anything, the opportunity for that child to pursue the visions or the dreams that you have for him, right? You can't want your child to talk about your child going to college, but you don't have a college fund, or you're not setting up his life in a way from young for them to go to college. You can't want your child to go to college or get a degree when you don't speak life over your child. You don't speak positivity. You don't speak the vision over your child. Every time they do something that you don't like, or something you speak bad, or you go gossip about them with other family members who are laughing behind your back, right? Who these other family members are actually competing with you, right? You don't do that. So how, like, if you want certain things to happen, it's an effort, it's a teamwork, and you want to lead that, you as a parent have to do what you need to do to make sure that your child is set. And you may not have everything in order. There's certain things, you know what I'm saying, like life happens. But if you're not doing the bare minimum, like, you can't have no expectations. Like, just be happy that your kid is not out there robbing, stealing, and doing foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? And the next thing about this degree thing, it's another thing in not just in the community, but just in this world period, where people have begun to idolize degrees and education, as opposed to idolizing the God who gives gifts that are that are undeniably, they're just unlimited. You understand what I'm saying? And so we've begun to rely on man-made institutions. And I'm not downgrading or minimizing what education does. Whether you pursue it through an institution, or you are self-taught, like many people did before the glamorizing of schools, right? But what I'm saying is that, whatever it is that you need to do, whatever it is that you need to do as far as honoring your parents, is just to love them unconditionally. And I can tell you what I believe. Do not, when they do something that's messed up, you know what I'm saying? Do not talk about them with other people, with other family members, you know what I'm saying? If you have a person that you trust and you cry out to them about certain things that you've experienced, and you do that from a genuine heart, go ahead. But when it comes to being shysty and nasty, and again, I'm not saying that God doesn't know your heart and He doesn't know what you're able to He doesn't know. I'm not saying that He doesn't know what you're dealing with and what you need help with. But I'm telling you that, I believe that there's blessings and there's favor on your life when you just keep when you just do things the godly way, right? And one of the godly ways is honoring our parents. And we just have to begin to get clear understandings of what it means to do these things, and not rely on what people's definitions of that is. Because some people honoring parents will say, okay, you have to, if your mother is beating you or your father is beating and abusing you, you know what I'm saying, that you have to honor them by staying around, or that you have to deal with your parents slandering you or treating you badly, whether emotionally, verbally, whatever, and you're an adult, right? Because you're supposed to take that. No, you're not supposed to take anything that you can't handle. Like, if you're not able to handle it, if you're not able to leave and say, okay, you know what, I'm unbothered, then you're not supposed to be around that, right? I believe that God's grace allows us to, when He talks about your cup running over, it means that you're able to, in many different ways, but let's talk about love. When your cup running over with love, you're able to experience and deal with and love the unlovable, right? You're able to hear the nonsense that they're doing and the nonsense that they're saying, and you're able to just keep it pushing because it doesn't bother you. Your cup running over, and only the Spirit of God is able to do that. Any other thing It's always, you're going to leave that situation and you're going to be angry. Your heart is going to be filled with, just hate and just things that it's going to stop you from being your best self, right? And we don't want that. So yeah, just make sure that your focus is on being as godly as much as possible, especially when it comes to your parents. The commandments ain't saying nothing about brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts and none of those people, right? Specifically, we're talking about your mother and your father, right? Okay? Everyone else can literally like be put into the box of love thy neighbor as thyself. And so that comes back to the whole conversation about the family members. Again, the commandments ain't say, honor thy family members. It says honor your mother and your father, right? So family members, they are placed in the box of love thy neighbor as thyself. So you treat them just as you treat a neighbor next door, you know what I'm saying, as a co-worker or whatever, right? It's no difference. There is an obligation, however, according to the commandments, according to the laws of God, according to what God desires for us, because he made us. He knows how we're made, and he knows what we need to do to have a long life. The word says honor your mother and father, so that your days may be long on this earth. There's a reason why he says that, right? And so nothing is impossible with God. We may not be able to do it in our own ability, but the Spirit of God is able to do it. And so you don't have to worry about that. I'm speaking from experience, right? So when it comes to family members, again, that just cut down your problem to a whole, it cuts it down to two. Some of you guys probably don't have two parents around, maybe just one, right? That just cuts your whole problem down to one. So just one person, you have to muster up energy, just the ability to just hold your tongue and just to not, say anything that you will regret, or do anything that you will regret, right? And it's nothing, again, that just continuous prayer and focus and asking God for strength and so forth will definitely help in the process. So again, we're going back to the family members. So a lot of you guys, again, are dealing with even family members who may have had problems with your parents. They have problems with your parents, not with you. They don't like your parents for whatever reason. Whether your parents were successful, more beautiful, thriving, whatever. They hate your parents, and not because they hate your parents, they want to hate you. And not only that, their hate has now become generational, because now their children has a problem with your parents, and now their children low-key has a problem with you. And so this is how it comes back to now the generational curses, right, that is talked about. These things are real. These things are happening. A lot of us, many people, are experiencing generational curses, right? And I think the curse in that is that you feeling like you don't have a choice, right? The deception in the curse is that you don't have a choice, right? And I'm here to tell you guys on today that you do have a choice. You always have a choice. There is always a choice. And the love of God made that available through his son, Jesus Christ. We are able to break free from all generational curses, from all expectations, from all lies. The word says the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers, right? So that they cannot see the revelation of Jesus Christ, right? Who is the Son of the living God, who came to set the captives free, who came to free you from all the pain, all the hurt, all the abuse, all, the generational curses, the things that you had to deal with from childhood up until adulthood. Even right now, you're dealing with things that you don't even know that you're being deceived by, because you can't see, because you don't have the Spirit of truth within you, right? You don't have the Spirit of God within you. You have God's love. God's laws is embedded in your heart. You may be loving, you may be kind, you may be generous, you may be forgiven, because God's laws is embedded in your heart. But there is and God is clearly watching over you, because he's protected you from danger. You could have been dead. That was for somebody. You could have been dead and you're still here. And that's an example, and that is a testimony of God's love for you, right? Even in our wayward living, even when living stubborn, or defiantly or rebelliously, you understand, God's love is still here. It still covers you because you're still there. I'm talking about the Spirit of God. When the Spirit of truth comes upon you and literally reveals everything about this world, right? What this world is about, the deception of this world, and what is really going on, and why black people are still stuck in this mentality of thinking that and this is just one. This is just one of the aspects. One of the revelations that I've had, right, in my walk with Christ, is, you know, some people in the black community have these expectations from people, you know, when there is no expectation from anybody. The only expectation that you have, the expectation should come from God. And what has happened is, again, a lot of us who have experienced, you know, we probably grew up with parents who are Christians or in the church, and we've experienced much hypocrisy and contradiction and just lifestyles that we knew because God's laws is embedded in our hearts. He made us like that. We knew that these people, like, something is wrong with y'all. Like, how you are a grown adult, how are you a grown person? How are you an adult and acting this way? How are you an adult and bullying and bullying a child? How are you an adult and abusing a child? Like, it didn't make sense, right? And so a lot of us have experienced these. They say church hurt. Again, there's a lot of terms in this world now that annoys me. Church hurt is one of them. Minority is one of them. Non-profit is one of them. There's certain terminologies that they really annoy me because it just doesn't make sense. First of all, we're not going to generalize people's bad behavior, right? One person or individual's bad behavior and generalize and say it's a church, right? Because then now that says God and spirituality and just religion, that it's a bad thing, right? Until you get the revelation yourself, until you seek God yourself, and He teaches you and begins to teach you, you know, what you need to know and what the truth is, right? So this term church hurt, you know, it's foolish, because a lot of these people who are in the church, you know what I'm saying, they're not the church, right? They're not the church. A lot of these people who are in the church, a lot of these people in the church are actually demonically possessed people who are just being used by the enemy to violate and to taint the name of the Lord, and to just have the Lord seem like He, you know, that He is not good. And that's far from the truth. And we know the enemy is a liar, right? So I'm talking to you guys who have experienced, you know, just contradiction and hypocrisy growing up in you know, as children of God. You knew, even as a child, that there are just certain things that you don't do. There's just certain behaviors that you don't engage in, right? And so that may have turned you off from, you know, pursuing, you know, God, or you may have even said, at least, you know, for me at one point, you know, because of everything that I went through, I was just like, wow, like, I don't believe in God. Like, what God would allow, you know, His child to go through something or go through this, right? And so I had that experience, but lo and behold, you know, God knew everything and knew what would happen, and, you know, He saved me and He restored me and gave me life and life more abundantly. And I'm just so grateful just to have life again and do life differently, right? Not with anyone's expectations of me, not with any past experience as far as like what I thought that God was, or who I thought God was, or what the church is to be, or what the religion should be. No, it is my one-on-one relationship with the Lord through the Holy Spirit, who teaches me in all things and guides me in all things and leads me to truth and reveals all deception, right? And I want that for you guys. I want that for the black community. That is the reason why the black community, some people in the black community are not thriving. It's because they have these expectations from other human beings who can't do nothing for you. You cannot live the life that you desire to live when the people that you're desiring to give you that life is incapable of doing that. They can't even give themselves a life. The deception or the illusion is that they can help you. The deception is that they can, you know, help you manifest, you know, what God has placed in your heart. And I'm not saying that we're not supposed to help each other and love each other. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, it is you and God. It's you and God who are responsible for becoming whatever and whoever it is God created you to be. You understand what I'm saying? And there has to be this there has to be a level of honesty where it can be rude. Some may see it as rude, brutally honest, whatever, I don't care. But what I do know is that the time has come. The time has come. And I'm looking in the camera right now because this is serious. The time has come for many people, whether you're Hispanic, Black, whatever race you are, wherever you are from. I want you to know, no one has the power to stop you from doing who God called you and created you to be, right? No one. There are things in our society, in the culture, perpetuated by media, that we saw in our environments, many of them intentionally so to keep you stuck and bounded and not blossom to greatness, right? But the truth is, no human being who cannot give life, or give spirit, has the power to stop you from being who God created you to be. The God who created all things, the universe. God is not the universe. God created the universe, right? At least the God that I serve, He created the universe, and even the things that we don't even are yet to see and discover, right? And so this idea that another human being can stop you from becoming prosperous, or stop you from being great, or stop you from thriving, or is holding you back from accomplishing things, like that is deception. It's no different from the different types of bondage historically, whether it was slavery or whatever else, that people experienced that kept them in bondage, right? We may not have slavery or the traditional slavery today, but there is a mental slavery that is working powerfully in the minds of many people, that is keeping them in bondage, keeping them from prospering and becoming who God created them to be. And that's because they're lacking truth, right? And so truth says that seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. With God, nothing is impossible, right? So if I believe these things, right, then why am I mad because I didn't get a job? Or why am I mad because a video pops up with two who appears to be Caucasian saying negative, slanderous words or racist? Like, why would I be offended by that? If I know who I am, if I know who God says I am, and I believe the identity that he gave me, right, and who I am, why would I be offended by, why should I be offended by that? It is because many people don't have an identity. They don't have an identity. Their identity, you know what I'm saying, has become warped, or not even has become, they just never did, because everything that they saw around them was not genuine, was inauthentic, imitations. You understand what I'm saying? And so what do you do when you don't know who you are? When you don't know who you are, anyone will ascribe an identity to you. When you don't know who you are up for grabs. You're going to be attracted to or take on the closest thing that you think is you, but in truth, it is not, right? And so that is why we have a lot of people who are literally out on the streets, like, fighting to prove what? Like, if you, and it's funny, and I'm actually getting chills, because it's interesting how much time wasting that is, right? How much time wasting that is, as opposed to, you using your time to develop yourself and to go, explore the world, or to do things that will develop you educationally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. You know what I'm saying? You're out here wasting time trying to make people see you the way that you want to be seen. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not saying, that you don't stand up for what's right, and you don't stand up for justice and human rights. No, I absolutely. But there's a lot of foolishness going on around, where it's just like, you have to get your life in order first. Like, before you can help anybody, like, you got to make sure that you're stable, that you're rooted in who you are, like, you're rooted and know what you are about, as opposed to jumping on a bandwagon just because it gives you an opportunity to express your pain, or it gives you an opportunity to express your hurt. Like, we're not solving a problem here, right? And I strayed away from the whole topic because I'm just flowing right now. But it starts with you, right? And coming back to the whole topic of family, it starts with you. If you've been led to believe that, family, family, that because you're family, you're supposed to take the nonsense and the foolishness and the disrespect and all these different things. And that's what you're going to do until you get a revelation and an understanding that, one, love does not hurt, right? And if these people truly love you, even when they do something that's offensive or disrespectful, they should have the love in them to apologize and acknowledge and say, okay, you know what, I was wrong. But when they don't even do that, some of them don't even do that. So it's okay for them to trample over you because you allow them to. Listen, some of you guys also, y'all are like shrimps when it comes to your family members, but when it comes to people that you work with or people on the street, y'all are like bulldogs. How about you take some of that bulldog attitude, right, and appropriate that to some of your family members who actually have fun treating you like crap? Okay, start doing that, and you're better off doing that than just taking a lick down that when you go home you can't even think, right? Your mind is all flustered just because of all the negativity that you stayed and allowed them to speak into you. Like, words are powerful. The Lord says death and life is in the power of the tongue. When people speak negatively over you when people speak, and of course they have these more recent self-help books that literally, it's all comes from the Bible. Like, everything that you see is just reinterpreted in a way, I guess, to speak to people who are offended by religion or offended by how man has corrupted religion. But it's all from the Bible. When as a man thinketh, so is he. The Lord says that in the Word. He says that, with the excuse me, guys. Death and life in the power of the tongue. There's some family members. There are some people who know actually that there are power in their words, and they will use it to you to keep. That's actually binding you and keeping you stuck. Like, you don't notice, but it's real. You understand what I'm saying? And so that is not something that you have to be around. That is not something that you have to tolerate. Nowhere in the word it says that you have to tolerate that, right? Kindness, yes. Kindness, yes. You should always be kind. I think it's our responsibility as a human being to be kind to other people. But when it comes to the point where you're extending yourself, where you're feeling regret, or you feel like, after you express the kindness, you're like, oh, I should not have been kind, or maybe I should have, been a certain way. Like, that means your cup does not run it over, and it's time for you to take a break. You understand? Take a break from that. Or, take a break. Like, it's no or nothing. Take a break or just move away, period. I mean, there are people who, who have literally disowned family members just because of their bad behavior, because they didn't want to change. And these people ended up thriving, like successful people. There's some I could call, but I'm not going to say their names right now, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like, sometimes you got to make those decisions. Who do you love? Who do you love? Do you think that who do you love more, yourself? Or do you love, who do you love? Who do you love? And staying doesn't mean that you love them. Staying means that you're being manipulated. Staying means that you're naive. Being naive is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, staying means that you don't know your worth. You don't know your identity. You don't know who you are, right? Staying means that you have some issues that you need fixed, to think that it's okay to have people, again, treat you less than they would treat their own children. Like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to do that? And maybe you have to show them by becoming great and by, setting an example as far as your expectations, you know what I'm saying? As far as whether that is staying away, whether that's becoming who God created you to be, and now them seeing your life and seeing how God's favor has been on your life, now that may prompt them to change. But there's some people who still will never change. That is just who they are. You understand what I'm saying? And so it doesn't make sense. It will never make sense for you to stay in these situations because you're not growing, right? Every time you're around them, you're just always in a not in the most positive state of mind, right? And it just doesn't. It's not. it is not wisdom, right? It is not wisdom. You're not applying or exercising wisdom when you stay in these places. So yeah, so that's about it. I'm gonna wrap this up now because I have something to take care of. But yeah, you don't have to, and it doesn't make you a bad person. No, you're not too sensitive. You just have respect and you know how to treat people. That's all that means. You're not being too sensitive. You're not being demanding. You're not being anything but who you were created to be. And that is the first step into manifesting a level of peace and joy that only you can access. I don't care how many self-help books you read. I don't care how many words of encouragement you hear, how many sermons you hear. There are certain things that you have to do within yourself, that you have to demand for yourself, for the respect of yourself, right? And for other opportunities of love to show and rear itself, right? And yeah, so you don't have to take the crap. You don't have to take the crap or be bullied or anything from anybody, right? And most definitely not from family members. So that's gonna wrap up the conversation on family members. If you guys have any questions, please email me ikingamongskings at gmail.com. I'm definitely gonna I look at the email or whatever, and look at your questions and see how I can respond or whatever to help you guys in whatever way you guys need help. I hope this video really helped you and gave you some insight, some wisdom. Things don't work overnight, you know what I'm saying? It was a process for me. A lot of it was not a process. A lot of it was a supernatural power of God through the Holy Spirit that gave me eyesight and obedience by listening. You understand what I'm saying? Some of us, we like to see when God shows us something, for some reason we think that we can, God shows us something over and over, and we think that we can change a person after they've shown who they are multiple times. No. Certain things God shows you is for you to make and apply those wisdom and to make those decisions. And moving away or staying away does not mean you hate the person. Staying away does not mean you don't like the person. Staying away means that you're exercising love, right? Staying away means that you know what it needs to, what you need to do in order to keep the peace, to keep joy, and most importantly for you to thrive and be who God created you to be. God is love, right? And so we were created from love. We were created out of love. And the only way we thrive in a godly way is through love, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There are evil, a man cannot serve two masters, right? So you want to be evil and you want to thrive being evil, you have to be evil wholeheartedly. Like, you have to be evil unapologetically. You have to be wicked unapologetically for you to thrive in that kingdom, where that master rules, that master of darkness. You want to thrive in the way God created us to thrive, you have to live according to the ways of God and how he created us. That is out of love. So a lot of these distractions, I call it too as well, a lot of these distractions, a lot of these experiences are an attempt to keep you from thriving the way God desires you to thrive, and that is through exercise and love. So yes, there are ways to exercise love, and it's not necessarily the way the world thinks. The world thinks that you have to prove love to the world, right? For them to say, okay, this person loved me because they buy me gifts, or they buy me, or they hug me, or they give me a kiss, or whatever. They show affection. That does not necessarily mean love. Like, you can be literally kissing the enemy. You can literally be kissing someone who's trying to take your spot at your job, like someone who, who probably wants your significant other. There's so many things, that this definition, this worldly definition of love that is full of deception. Like, and whereas you have someone who to the world may seem mean, they may seem like just like a horrible person just because they may not smile or just because of how they move, but that person could have a heart of gold. You understand what I'm saying? That person can have the heart of God, a man after God's own heart, right? And so we just have to be mindful and of truth and understand that truth is truth. It ain't nothing better than having truth in your life. But the only way we get truth is not by relying on other people's interpretations, or even with what I say to you. Like, if it doesn't resonate with you, you still have, or even if it does, it is still your responsibility to take it to God in prayer and to have a conversation with God, and bring whatever issues, even what I say, you know what I'm saying, to God, and have a conversation and a relationship with God and talk to Him about these issues. I'm just a vessel expressing what I've overcome and what I know will help somebody. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being still, and there may be things that, who knows, that I may be speaking because of, I don't know, maybe it's not 100% accurate, but that's not the point. The point is, whatever I say, whoever it applies to, it should apply. And if it doesn't apply to you, then you're not for me and I'm not for you. You can go to another platform and listen to what they got to say, right? You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's all it is. It's not even about being, being a hater or anything like that. It's just, you have to know what works for you, and that's part of the identity. Once you know who you are, you know what I'm saying, you could pursue things and go after things that you know just works for you. But I'm going to wrap this up because I have something to take care of. Thank you again so much for watching. Love you guys. God bless.